And I think that should have started now, so we can get rolling. Okay, yeah, I'm Jesse Zentz. This is my, I think, sixth season in charge of the Helena High girls track and field team. Uh, really excited about the upcoming year. We have 71 girls out for track and field, which is a high since I've been here, at least confirmed at this point. Sometimes we get a few more kids that jump in later if they either get cut by softball or if a friend talks to them at school and gets them engaged in the idea of coming out for track and field. But really excited about those numbers. The breakdown of the classes is a little bit unique this year. We actually have a big freshman class, 22 girls. We have 22 sophomores and 20 juniors, and probably the smallest senior team we've ever had, which is seven. We knew that was going to be a small team 4 years ago when these guys started, but that's a good sign for the future because we essentially have 64 kids, either juniors or younger. So it bodes well for the future of the program that we have such large classes below that senior class. So really excited about that. Super excited to welcome a bunch of new kids this year. I think nearly half of our team is newcomers. Like I said, 22 freshmen, but we also have about 10 to 12 other girls, either sophomores, juniors, who are also coming out for track and field for the first time. So really excited about that. First tonight, I'm going to go through some of the district stuff that were kind of requested to talk about, which is important stuff. But I want to go through that first, and then I'll move into some things that are more specific to our program, and a little bit of detail about our fundraising that we started about a week ago because I sent the email out initially, but we also talked to the kids about that today, and we're on a good track so far. We got $2,400 already raised, which is great. That money is really important, but I'll talk more about that toward the end. All right, you get me on screen for a little bit longer here. First thing I want to talk about is the inherent risk of sports. As you guys know, anyone involved in a sport, there's an inherent risk of injury. That's something that we need to just share to make you guys aware of that. As parents, the school doesn't provide primary insurance coverage, but we do have supplemental coverage if an athlete's injured in competition or in practice. So if that were to happen, you just need to contact our trainer, and they can usually work with you on the paperwork that's required if something were to happen. We always emphasize at the beginning of every season that bullying and hazing are not tolerated. Saying I didn't know isn't going to get us off the hook with anyone in court. So it's important that we share that with you. If you guys hear of anything from your student athlete about any bullying or hazing, please report that directly to us so we are aware of it and we can address issues like that and talk to our administration to resolve those things. I'm not sure how many of you have already paid the fees for track and field, but before the first competition, that does need to happen. So it's $60 if this is their second sport this year. It's $90 if it's their first sport of the year. That $30 is the activity card piece of it. So if you're into your second sport, it's $60. You pay that through RevTrack. I have provided that link, I think, several times in emails that I've sent out, but I will follow up this meeting tonight with another email with some of those key things to help you guys accomplish those tasks. Also, I think most everybody at this point, we've got all the forms we need, but I'll be reaching out directly if we don't have specific forms for any of the kids, and I'll send you and your child a joint email requesting that the forms get completed before we continue further into the season. Like I said, we'll go through some of the details in the handbook here tonight, but I just encourage you all to look through it. I'll attach that again tonight in that email I follow up with. There's some good information in there that covers a lot of different things that are important for the program, but also important for the athletes and the parents to understand. Let's see here. Just going through these one by one. Got to make sure I cover all the requirements by the district. This is something we talked to the kids about on day one. To attend practice, they need to be in attendance at school for at least half of their school day. And that's different for every kid. Well, not every kid, but a lot of kids have 5 periods, some kids have 7 periods. So what is considered half is obviously different based on how many classes they're taking. Obviously, we want kids to be in for the entire day, and we stress that academics are a priority for us. And we'll reach out to the parents and the child if there's any concern whether they're not attending enough class to attend practices and things like that. And we'll tell them at practice if they're not able to practice based on the report that I get from the attendance office. So just be aware of that. Stress to your student athlete at home that academics are a priority. If there's a need for study or anything like that, and practice is interfering with a final coming up, and they need that extra time, let us know and we can work through things like that. We're going to make sure that they understand that we believe that academics are the priority as well. That's why they're student athletes, not athlete students. Um, Also, when it comes to communication, there's kind of a chain of communication. We ask that if there is an issue that a student athlete has, that they first approach the coach. And then the parent can approach the coach if the athlete either is, anxious or scared about the idea of doing that. But please try to teach your children to do that or make that step first to at least try to approach the coach initially if there's an issue, and then we can bring parents in after that. Please don't go directly to administration. They ask us that parents go directly to us first, and then we can elevate things as needed with our building administrator and then the AD if we need to. Um, when it comes to travel, it's important. This is one that we always have to be very clear on, is that when we go to meets, the student athletes have to travel with us to the meet. Sometimes there are rare circumstances where there's an other school activity that may have interfere with it, and a parent can bring them over later. Those just have to be cleared 24 hours in advance with the school. So if you do have some sort of conflict like that, and we've even had situations like that with a death in the family, and there's a funeral, and child needs to attend that with their family, and then a family member can bring them to the meet if they want to participate that day. So just be aware of that. They are expected to ride the bus with us to the meet. When it comes to returning home from meets, that's where things are a bit looser, but I personally, as the coach of the track and field program, really, really, really try to drive home the importance of that time with teammates traveling home from meets. That's honestly the stuff that they're going to remember when they're our age. Those rides home are fun. It's where you go closer and really truly become a team. So we try to emphasize that, staying together on those trips home. But we do know that there are circumstances where kids can or need to ride home with a parent after the meet. We do ask that all kids stay for the duration of the meet, however. So we request that those requests for rides home with a parent don't come until the meet is complete. And that just is because we really emphasize that they support each other throughout the entire meet, and there's kids that compete at the end of the meet who are there to support the kids at the beginning. So we want to make sure that they're all supporting each other. Um, all right, I'm gonna share a screen pretty quickly here. If I'm not fumbling around too long on my computer, just got to make sure I'm doing this right. Let's see. Sorry, this is taking longer than I wanted. Okay. Sorry, didn't work right away. Can you see my screen?
No, we cannot.
You cannot?
I cannot, no.
Okay.
No.
Well, I don't know why that's not working right now. It usually works, but I'll just talk through it. I'm going to turn my camera off because I just don't like being on camera. Um, but we're going to talk through a few of the things in the team handbook. First, we do for all the returning parents, we have mostly the same coaching staff, but we there is a shift this year. We lost one of our throws coaches who got a new job and wasn't able to continue with us. So we're actually moving Scott Todorovich, who's worked girls hurdles for the last 5 or 6 years. He's been amazing. He has a ton of knowledge in a variety of events. So we're actually moving Scott over to shot and disc with Ali Coletti. So those two will now be teaming up to coach those events. And we're bringing Holly Dahlke on board, whose daughter Mila is an athlete on the team, a hurdler on the team. And Holly will be coaching hurdles. Holly's fantastic. We've had her work with the Helena Novas in town for several years, so I have experience with her there. She's going to do a great job. She has a lot of experience in the event. She was a hurdler at the University of Montana, and she's going to be a great energy around the kids as well. So we're really excited about that. Our returning coaches are Heather McNeil, so she'll be working with our sprinters. She teaches over at HMS. She's been with the program the longest. I think 25 years is what she told the kids on Monday. And then in long and triple jump, we'll have Andy Mulvaney. He's back from last year, and he's working with Michael Madsen. Historically, Michael's worked a little bit more with the boys, but last year we kind of they shared duties a little bit more, and so Michael and Andy will be working with long and triple jumpers. Um, in javelin, we have Jenna Franchino back, and I think this is her third or fourth year now with us. And she's been a great addition since we brought her on. And then we have Andrew Mosier. He's our high jump coach. He's been with the program, I think probably the second longest in this group. And Andrew, many of your kids might know him from Jefferson and I think Central is, or maybe it's Smith. I can't remember, but he's a PE teacher at the elementary school level here in town. Bill Herford is our pole vault coach, and Bill's been with the program a very long time as well. He's a really strong coach. We have a big group of pole vaulters this year, which is exciting. And then I saved the distance coaches for last because we have a lot of people, and that's what I coach in terms of events. So it's myself, Michael Kaufman, Kelly Gilbert, Taylor Flaming, and Nate Wellington. And there's a mix of old and young in that group, which is great because they kind of bridge the gap with the youth on the track and field team. So that's our coaching staff. I'm not going to go into too much detail in the handbook since I'm going to share that with you guys. But the things that we really want to emphasize are our program pillars and our supporting principles this year. On day one, we kind of went through the program pillars and what those mean to the program. Those are excellence, curiosity, and love. What you can read the handbook and kind of see what those mean, but we really try to emphasize that excellence is a pursuit for us. It's not necessarily perfection. Perfection's something that's dangerous for kids to try to pursue. So we really talk about excellence and really just doing the best they can every single day. Curiosity is just about taking that open-mindedness into everything they do and being willing to be coached and willing to try new things. And then love is really our whole program mantra. You'll see on the girls' t-shirts and sweatshirts that they get, it says "for her" on their sleeve, and that's really just doing everything for your teammates and for yourself, and really trying to emphasize that shared purpose as a program. Our supporting principles, we're going to talk a lot about team, even though this sport is traditionally seen as an individual sport. We view this sport as a team sport, really talking a lot about supporting each other. We have a variety of different events, and we want to make sure that the distance runners are supporting the throwers and vice versa, and the sprinters are supporting the jumpers and vice versa. So really trying to get our kids to understand that concept of team in an individual sport. When we talk about training with the kids, we're going to be talking about both the mind and the body. Every Monday, we're going to be spending a little bit of time with some mental training type things. We're calling them Mindful Mondays. We're teaching them some techniques to either reduce anxiety, increase focus, things like that. Also, talking a lot about recovery and how that's part of training. Eating well after practice, getting a snack in their body, hydrating well, and then getting the appropriate amount of sleep and things like that. So really talking about training is not just the work they do at practice, but everything they do around that to support their bodies and to support their minds. When we talk about competition, we want our girls to embrace competition. Some people really don't like competition. They shy away from it. So the way we frame competition is me versus me with you versus you, and really striving for greater things together rather than, looking at people as adversaries. Even though a girl at the starting line might be wearing a different uniform, you're only making each other better. So that's how we frame it with our team. That that they're all out there to strive together and to chase big goals together, even if they're on different teams. And if you look at things like that in a positive way, competition can be a very positive thing for these kids. Um, Reliability, uh, that's gonna kind of focus in on attend practice attendance and being present when you're at practice, and not being a distraction to your teammates, showing up for them on a daily basis, and showing up for practice and being reliable as a teammate. Responsibility, that's just something we talk about for this age group especially, and arriving at practice with what you need, bringing a snack to practice, bringing your water to practice, bringing your shoes to practice, but then also the responsibility of just taking ownership of their own journey and thinking, what can I do to make things happen for me? So that's really what responsibility means for us. We'll talk about adventure, and that's just trying to keep the kids focused on that seeking mindset rather than showing. It's not all about the outcomes. It's not about the medals that they win at state, but it's about the process of seeking to grow and to become a better track and field athlete, but also to become a better teammate, a better person, better community member. And so we think about adventure that way. And then the last of our principles that we kind of focus on, and we're going through these one by one with the kids over the next couple of weeks, is process, and really just focusing on process and letting go of outcome. We'll talk about goals and things like that, which sometimes include outcome, but we do want them to focus on the process of that, because if they can do that, it's a healthier way to grow and become what they truly can. Um, like I said, the next part of this is pretty wordy. I'll let you guys read it. I've actually shared a lot of this stuff with you already about practice being mandatory. The key thing with practice for us is that if your child needs to be excused from practice, the most important thing to know is that you're the one that needs to report that to us. It's a lot easier for us to manage if a parent emails or texts me directly to let me know that a child's going to be absent from practice. Because if I get the message from an athlete, I'm always going to check with the parent anyway. And so it just cuts down on the number of texts or emails that we have to send back and forth. Um, we don't consider them excused for absolutely everything. But some of the things that would fall into an excused absence would be illness. We've already had a couple kids sick. I know there's been a lot going around the school. Injury. In some cases, we will do that, but in many cases with injury, we actually want them to see the trainer and do treatment, rather than just to go home and lay on their bed and not really help that injury improve. So injury sometimes can be, especially if they're going to a PT appointment or something like that. Family emergencies definitely fall in the excused absences. Medical appointments do. And then any other reason beyond the student athlete's control, that, like an act of God situation, power lines down and they're not be able to make it, or there's a situation at home that they need to be there for. Those things are at the discretion of me, and usually I'm pretty flexible on those things, but the only time that I'll push back a little is if it becomes something that's happening consistently, and then we have to have a discussion about, what really meets that excusal requirement. Um, let's see. I think I talked about a lot of this stuff already. Spring break. This is actually an important one. I think I emailed most of the parents about this early on. Um, we understand spring break falls at a really difficult time for us as a program, because it's the week of our first actual competition. Um, but we do understand that families plan spring breaks and do that, and it's important for people to take advantage of the time that they do have off. So if you do have a pre-planned vacation coming up over spring break, all I ask is that you send us the dates and the times that the kids will be absent, so we know that ahead of time and don't stand there waiting at practice for kids to show up that aren't coming because they're on spring break. And it really just helps us plan ahead for the numbers we can expect over spring break. We really encourage all athletes to be there if possible. We hold practices that whole week at the same time. So if you are in town, you're not on spring break, the expectation is that you are at practice. Um, we know because their friends may be out of town and not there, that it kind of sucks for them. So we try to do some fun things that week, to treat them a little bit differently. than they would normally, just because it's not fun when your friends are out of town or down in like Cabo San Lucas and you're at practice at Helena High. So we'll do some fun things that week to keep that more enjoyable for them. Um, with regarding gear, I think it's pretty obvious what you need for track and field. Just athletic, appropriate layers that they can bring to practice. Pay attention to the weather as a parent. If you see your kid heading out the door, maybe just ask them, "Hey, do you have what you need for practice today? It's supposed to rain." Just I think that's really important because I there's nothing I hate more than a poor kid showing up to practice and it's raining outside and all they have is a t-shirt and shorts, and all their teammates go out and run and they don't have anything to throw on to protect them from the elements. So just plan ahead, make sure they have the things that they need in their backpack on a regular basis. I would say it's always good to have gloves, a hat, maybe a sweatshirt, and like a rain jacket or a wind jacket in their backpack at all times. And then that way they always have what they need if weather comes in, because you guys know in Montana that can change really quickly. Um, in the handbook, I'll let you guys look at this. There's a social media guide for student athletes. This was created by Lindsay Day, our volleyball coach, this past fall. It's awesome. I think it's really important for parents and athletes to just look through it, kind of understand what you should and shouldn't do on social media. We remind the kids that they represent the program at all times, but also this is for their own good, to make sure that they're not posting things that may reflect poorly on them down the road, and protecting their image and their privacy and safety. So take a look at that. The rest of this, I think I want to let you guys just kind of go through on your own. Um, I said the Mindful Mondays. We're doing that every Monday this season. We're going to do a thing called Thankful Thursdays each Thursday. I really want to incorporate gratitude into our program. I think there's all kinds of science that has proven that if you have a grateful mindset, if you think about gratitude and being thankful, it's actually really beneficial not only to performance but just general health. So we're going to be doing a thing called Thankful Thursdays. Those activities will range from a variety of different things that we'll do. We'll write thank you notes to people that have been important for them, that they can give to those folks. And we'll just do some other things where the kids share gratitude for each other and what they do for each other. And then on each Friday, I know we have some meets on Fridays, so this won't be something we can do every single week, but Fridays we're calling Fun Fridays. We're just trying to incorporate a little bit more fun, and really what the purpose of those are is to really get the kids um, just having fun together and getting to know each other better. We'll try to mix the kids up in different groups of people so they're not always with the same folks that they hang out with throughout the day and at practice, and really try to mix things up so the kids have a little bit of fun at the end of every week before the meet on the weekend in general. We might move those to Thursdays and do Thankful Thursdays and Fun Fridays at the same time if we have a Friday meet, because I think that fun piece is really important for us. Um, at the end of the handbook, you'll see letter requirements, our postseason awards, some of the things that we celebrate at the end of the season. One really nice thing that we have, not tooting my own horn, but it's a really nice tool for the kids. The back page of our handbook has varsity letter standards, state qualifying standards, school records, state records. It's just a nice little reference for kids who are new to the sport to kind of understand what some of the levels are, to achieve a letter, to qualify for the state meet. So we just put that there so they have that and it's handy all the time. But it's also helpful for parents to see. So when you're watching a meet and you see a kid run a certain time and you wonder why they're so excited, it might be because they lettered or qualified for state. And so you can kind of get a sense for what the kids are doing out there. Because I know a lot of parents um, maybe didn't do track in their history. And so it's important to have those things available to you guys as well. Um, the last couple things I'm going to talk about are, well, number one, I think she's on the meeting. I just need to check to see if she's here. Is Kristen Bishop on here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome. So I want to thank Christian publicly. She is our parent coordinator this year, and we're incredibly excited to have her doing that. Uh, Being a parent coordinator can be a lot of work. She's relying on a lot of you to help her out with things, and I know she's probably already engaged several of you. But I just want to thank Kristen for taking that on this year, and I know there will be other parents that step up in a major way as well. And so I just want to thank you at the beginning of the season. Um, I've been better and better about learning how to delegate as I've done this for a few years now, and good parent coordinators really help make that happen. So I appreciate the help on that front. The first thing that I'm going to send out from Kristen is actually our snack drive. We really like to provide snacks to the kids that they can just grab on the way out of practice. Sometimes on the way into practice, um, kids aren't able to bring a snack to practice. And so we do the snack drive so we can bring a bin out every single day so the kids have something to grab before practice that they need a little boost of energy, but they also can grab something as they're leaving practice to get that refueling process and recovery process started right away. It's super important for them to get some carbs back in their body after a workout. So I'll send that link out. That's a Sign Up Genius link. Kristen set that up, and you can just sign up for that. And then once you sign up for something, you can have that stuff, unless Kristen disagrees with me, you can have that stuff delivered to me with the athletes can just bring it to practice. That's generally the easiest way to do that. Um, and then the last thing I'm going to talk about tonight is fundraising. I've got 1 more minute left, so I'm going to cut this really short, but I just want to stress how important this is for our team. Um, we don't, I mean, we get a decent little chunk of money at the beginning of every season from the district. This year, that money went toward, gosh, why can I remember? Oh, we had to finish getting the rest of our uniforms updated. So we had to spend all that money. And so it's a little chunk of money the district's able to provide every year, but what we want to do every single year is provide each kid with a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, something like that. So there's no haves and have-nots. Everybody can wear something that represents the program. And so we raise money for that every year so we can get the kids that. We also had to buy 2 new javelins this year. We generally have to buy some new training equipment every year, and that stuff costs money. And the difficult part that we face nowadays is that we actually are required to raise money for the next season in the current season because we're not allowed to make purchases if money's not in our account. And so essentially, the sweatshirts and t-shirts you girls will be wearing home soon, those were purchased using fundraising dollars from last year. And so now we need to replenish our fundraising budget for next season. And it's just this like constant thing that we got to keep our eyes on and focused on. One thing I'd like to do this year is host the entire team at my house for a barbecue, and we'll have to pay for the food for that event. We like to take the divisional team and the state team potentially to a team meal together when they travel to those big meets. So there's a lot of different costs that come in throughout the season. I know the dollar figure looks big, but generally we go big because then that reduces the burden the following year if we're able to exceed kind of those goals. So I appreciate you guys understanding that. I know this is something that all the sports face. It's my least favorite part of coaching. I do not like to fundraise, but I just can't stress how important it is for the program to really present these girls with the opportunities that we want to throughout the season. So if you need to go right now, you are free to go. I hope I covered everything. I know that was just a lot of talking. I don't like to lecture, but I know that was a lot of talking, so I'm sorry if it was just a lot of words. But if you do have any questions, you're welcome to stick around, and I'm happy to stick around a little longer and answer questions. So if you do, just go ahead and chime in, and I'll do my best to answer it. Either I did a really good job or I wore everyone out. So I appreciate you guys. Looking forward to a great season. Um, Again, I love this job. I love these kids. It's a lot of fun, and thank you for all of your support too. We'll see you out there.